Greenland is a geographic lie. On a standard map, it looks as large as Africa. In reality, it is a frozen island where 99.9% of the land is uninhabited. But while the world sees a void, superpowers see the ultimate strategic prize. It is a country with almost no people, yet it might be the world's most overpowered territory. Roughly 80% of Greenland is buried under a permanent ice sheet, and when I say ice sheet, I am not talking about snow that melts in summer. This is a massive dome of solid ice covering approximately 1.7 million square kilometers. The ice reaches up to 3 kilometers thick in some places. That is taller than 10 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. The total volume of ice is estimated at 2.85 million cubic kilometers, and if all of it melted, sea levels would rise by 7.4 meters, enough to submerge Miami, Amsterdam, and Bangkok. But here is where it gets extreme. The ice is so heavy that it has actually pushed the bedrock beneath the center of Greenland below sea level. If you could instantly remove all the ice, the center of Greenland would be a giant bowl that would fill with ocean water. The weight has literally pressed the land downward by hundreds of meters. This means the vast majority of Greenland is completely uninhabitable. No cities, no roads, no infrastructure. Just solid ice stretching for hundreds of kilometers, making it one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Nearly the entire population of Greenland, approximately 56,000 people, is squeezed onto a thin rocky coastline where the ice has retreated. The capital, Nuuk, is by far the largest settlement, with about 19,000 people. The second largest town, Sisimiut, has only 5,500 people. These are not cities, they are small towns. Greenland has a population density of 0.03 people per square kilometer, making it the least densely populated territory on the planet. For comparison, Mongolia has about 2 people per square kilometer, more than 60 times denser than Greenland. This creates a strange situation where Greenland is simultaneously massive in land area, but incredibly small in habitable space. As the ice melts, the Northwest Passage is opening up, and Greenland sits at the mouth of this new Suez Canal of the North. For centuries, explorers searched for this route connecting the Atlantic and the Pacific through the Arctic. Countless expeditions failed. British explorer John Franklin and 129 men died trying in 1845. The problem was always ice, but climate change is transforming that. Arctic sea ice has declined by 13% per decade since 1979, and models predict the Arctic could be ice-free in summer by the 2030s or the 2040s. When that happens, the Northwest Passage becomes viable. A ship from London to Tokyo via the Suez Canal travels 21,000 kilometers and takes 24 days. Through the Northwest Passage, it is only 15,700 kilometers, saving about a week. That translates to massive fuel savings and faster delivery. And Greenland sits right at the entrance. This is comparable to Egypt controlling the Suez or Panama controlling its canal, except potentially more valuable because this route connects North America, Europe, and Asia directly. Underneath all that ice and rock, Greenland is sitting on massive untapped reserves of rare earth minerals, the cheat codes for the 21st century. Rare earth elements are critical for electric vehicles, smartphones, wind turbines, precision missiles, and advanced military equipment. Without them, you cannot build modern technology. And right now, one country dominates the supply. China controls approximately 70% of global rare earth mining and over 90% of processing. This gives China enormous leverage. If China cut off exports, much of the world's manufacturing would halt within months. Greenland could change that. Geological surveys identified massive deposits, particularly at Kvanefjell near Narsak. This single site is estimated to contain 11 million tons of rare earth oxides, enough to supply global demand for decades. There are also significant zinc, lead, gold, and uranium deposits. Some estimates put Greenland's total mineral wealth in the trillions of dollars. Greenland's entire GDP is currently only $3 billion per year. If even a fraction of these deposits were developed, it would transform Greenland's economy and potentially break China's monopoly on rare earths. Beyond economics, Greenland's location makes it perfect for early warning radar systems. Whoever controls Greenland controls the high ground of the Northern Hemisphere. This was recognized in World War II. In 1941, the United States occupied Greenland to prevent Nazi bases there. Then in 1951, the United States established Thule Air Base, 1,500 kilometers from the North Pole. Thule became critical for detecting Soviet missiles. Today, it still houses key components of United States ballistic missile early warning and space surveillance. From Thule, systems can detect launches from Russia, track satellites, and provide warning of threats. As China develops hypersonic weapons, these stations become even more critical. Greenland is not just territory, it is one of the most valuable observation posts in the Northern Hemisphere. For the United States and Russia, Greenland represents an unsinkable aircraft carrier. For the United States, it is a shield protecting North America. For Russia, it is key to dominating Arctic routes. American interest goes back far. In 1946, President Truman offered Denmark $100 million for Greenland. Denmark refused. In 2019, President Trump asked about purchasing it again. Denmark called that absurd. But strategically, it is not strange. The United States bought Louisiana for $15 million, Alaska for $7.2 million, and the Virgin Islands for $25 million. From an American perspective, owning Greenland would secure permanent control over approaches to North America and access to vast resources. Meanwhile, Russia has been expanding its Arctic presence, building icebreakers and making territorial claims. Russia's strategy focuses on controlling the northern sea route along its Arctic coast. But to project power into the Atlantic, it would need to neutralize Greenland. A militarized Greenland blocks Russian ambitions. China's approach is different. In 2018, China declared itself a near-Arctic state, despite being thousands of kilometers south of the Arctic. This claim establishes a framework that gives China a voice in Arctic discussions. China has been pursuing investments in Greenland, offering to fund airports, ports, and mines. In 2016, a Chinese company tried buying an old US naval base. It was blocked. China's interest is economic. They want Greenland's rare earths to maintain their processing dominance. If Western companies develop Greenland's deposits instead, it could break China's monopoly. That is why China has been aggressive in trying to invest before Western governments establish a position. Denmark finds itself in a difficult position. Greenland is autonomous within the Kingdom of Denmark. Denmark handles foreign policy and defense, while Greenland controls domestic affairs. Denmark provides about $600 million each year in subsidies, roughly 20% of Greenland's gross domestic product. For Denmark, a nation of 6 million, controlling Greenland gives them relevance in Arctic discussions far beyond their size. But Greenland has been moving toward independence. Public opinion shows most Greenlanders support it. The obstacle is economic. Without Denmark's subsidy, Greenland would face massive budget shortfalls. If Greenland became independent, it would need a patron. The US could offer military protection and investment. China could offer infrastructure funding. Russia could offer energy partnerships. Any arrangement would make Greenland a client state. This is what Denmark and the EU want to avoid, because an independent Greenland aligned with China or Russia would reshape the Arctic's strategic balance. In the short term, not much changes. Greenland remains Danish, with a tiny coastal population while the ice melts. But over the coming decades, as the Northwest Passage opens, as demand for rare earths grows, and as Arctic competition intensifies, Greenland becomes increasingly contested. The US has been expanding Thule and expressed interest in opening a consulate in Nuuk. China probes for investment opportunities. Russia watches carefully. Denmark tries balancing Greenland's autonomy desires against keeping it in the Western sphere. The irony is Greenland is valuable precisely because it is empty. No large population to navigate politically, no dense cities complicating operations, no complex politics derailing projects. It is a blank canvas where powers can project ambitions with minimal resistance. A territory of 56,000 people, sitting on trillions in resources, occupying the most strategic Northern Hemisphere position, and controlling access to a future major shipping route. That is not just overpowered, that might be the single most overpowered piece of real estate on the planet. And the competition to control it is only intensifying. Thank you for watching.